Hey, I'm Chantel Davis Gray. I'm a website designer and custom card deck designer. And custom card decks are what I want to chat about today. If you are thinking about creating your own, whether it's affirmations, flashcards, conversation starters, whatever you've dreamt up, there are a couple of really important things to think about before you start designing. I'm not going to get into all of them right now, but I'm going to start with the two things I suggest that you start with. Number one is who is using the cards? Who is the customer? Who is your client? Obviously, you're designing these cards for somebody. So think about who that is to make sure that they're going to love them. Are you making these cards for toddlers to use? Are you making these cards for teachers, for yoga students? Whoever it is, you want to keep them in mind as you're starting this process. Likewise, you want to think about how they're going to use them. Are they using them in pairs? Maybe a parent and a child going to bed at night, pulling a card to have a nice conversation before bed. Maybe it's in a group workshop or a seminar. Maybe it's someone on their own that's going to be using them. So you want to think about these things before you start designing, because how the cards are used are probably going to have an impact on what size cards you create, as well as the number of cards you put in your deck. If you're thinking this is going to be used by someone on the go, that they're always going to have their cards with them in their like purse or fanny pack or something, you're not going to want to create a deck that's 3x5 with 100 cards. Like that would be heavy to lug around everywhere. So you're probably going to make something smaller with less cards. On the other hand, if you are thinking these cards will be used one card per week, well, then there you go. You have 52 cards, and you can think about where is the person going to be keeping the card. That might dictate how big or what shape the card will be. So that's why these things are really important to think about before you start designing. It'll save you a lot of time from having to redo things. And even more importantly, it will help to ensure that your customers love your deck. So as I mentioned before, there are some other things to think about before you start designing. If you want to get those, I have a free checklist for you. You can go to chanteldavisgray.com/checklist.